Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. In regards of HDR, the PC version of God of War Ragnarok is, thanks God, on the exact same level as the PlayStation 5 version. That means if I would just use one word to describe it, it's a masterpiece. And before we now start, I have a very big favor to ask. Please like, share, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would much appreciate it. Thank you. And in my opinion, this game is anyway a must play. Not just on the PlayStation 5, now also on the PC. And not just because of the absolute fantastic HDR implementation. No, also because of the fantastic music, graphic, and of course, gameplay. Okay my friends, as always, first things first. God of War Ragnarok on the PC supports the Windows 11 HDR system calibration tool. Exactly as on the PlayStation 5. So make sure you set up the Windows 11 calibration tool according to your screen, because otherwise you would have a very bad experience in God of War Ragnarok. And because this game supports the Windows 11 calibration tool, I would like to know how it actually works under Windows 10, because as you can see here, there is literally no setting in the game where we can adjust the maximum peak brightness. So this game really just relies on the Windows 11 HDR calibration tool. But what about Windows 10? So if someone has the answer, please put it in the comment section. I would much appreciate it. Thank you. And before we now talking about the HDR settings what we have in the game, let me talk about one minor bug I already encountered or discovered. And the bug is actually, it's not a big deal, but every time when I started the game, HDR was actually disabled. So I had to enable it again. It's not a big problem, it's just a little bit annoying, and hopefully it gets fixed soon. And now let's take a closer look on the HDR settings what we have in the game. We have the HDR toggle on and off, then we have the HDR brightness, and then we have the HDR user interface brightness. And I'm very sure we don't need to talk about the HDR toggle on off switch, because this switch is toggling HDR on and off. More important actually is the HDR brightness setting, because the user interface HDR brightness setting is, as always, absolutely up to you and will actually not interfere with the game picture that much. But the HDR brightness setting is affecting the picture or the picture brightness in HDR. That's why we have to talk about this setting. The standard factory setting is 50, and I would strongly not recommend to decrease this value. And the reason for my recommendation not to decrease the HDR brightness setting is actually very simple. Let's have a closer look on the HDR black level floor, which is one of the most important components when we're talking about a great HDR implementation. And as you can see here, we have no issues at all with the HDR black level floor. It's spot on. It's actually, in my opinion, a little bit too much at some point, because you have not much details on very dark objects. So sometimes it looks like we have some sort of black level crush, but believe me, it is better like that than having a washed out picture. So the good news is, you can actually increase the visibility with the HDR brightness setting slightly. So most of the time, or the reason or the main reason for this setting is actually to increase the average picture brightness. So the good news is that even you set this setting, the HDR brightness setting, to 100, you will not lose the perfect HDR black level floor. But I think it's needless to say that I would not recommend to set the HDR brightness to 100, because you will have some sort of a washed out look. I found really a value between 70 and 80 is pretty good, at least on my LG G2 in combination with HDRG enabled. But again, at the end it's up to you, because this value, and I like to repeat myself, is not changing the HDR black level floor. It will just change the gamma actually in the game, and maybe leads a little bit to higher or less bright specular highlights in the game, but feel absolutely free to change the HDR brightness as you like it. Okay my friends, so that's it for this video, and I hope it was not too long. I have actually really no idea, because I didn't make a script for the game or for this video today. I have just to tell one story. So when I learned about that God of War Ragnarok on the PC gets released on the 19th, I installed, of course, the PlayStation 5 version, and I never played this game actually on my S95C or the G2 here in the background. And I was absolutely blown away because this HDR implementation is from a different planet in my opinion. The same counts for the PC, okay? So PC version is of course slightly better than the PlayStation 5 version in regards of frame rate, texture quality, resolution and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that the PlayStation 5 version is bad. No. Quite the opposite. I was blown away, literally, because I couldn't believe that the PlayStation 5 can actually, do or make a brilliant picture like this on my screen. I literally have to say, this is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't played this game, now it's the time, and just enjoy it hopefully on a proper HDR screen. Thank you very much for watching me. I see you guys next time. Bye.